The first sensation to pierce the haze of Julia's consciousness was the unfamiliar softness of high thread count sheets against her bare skin. A slow, dawning horror began to settle in as she registered the complete absence of her pajamas. Her eyes, heavy with sleep and the lingering effects of the previous night, fluttered open, only to widen in stunned disbelief. The room was not her own. It was a suite of opulent minimalist luxury, all cool grays and stark whites, and she was not alone. Beside her, sleeping with a stern elegance even in repose, was a man of breathtakingly handsome features, yet whose face seemed carved from marble, promising a coldness to match the room's decor. The memories of the night before returned in a chaotic, shame-filled flood. Her best friend, in a misguided attempt to catalyze Julia's long-stagnant relationship with her boyfriend, Jae Kai, had plied her with an astonishing amount of alcohol. The plan had been to book Julia a hotel room, a romantic push for the couple who had been dating for years without their relationship progressing to a physical level. But in her profoundly inebriated state, Julia had evidently stumbled into the wrong suite, the wrong room, and ultimately the wrong bed, that of the formidable and icy Thane. As she scrambled to gather her scattered clothes, a wave of mortification washing over her, Thane stirred. His eyes opened, and any trace of sleep was instantly replaced by an unnerving, calculating clarity. Without a word of greeting or a flicker of emotion, he retrieved a sleek checkbook from the bedside table, his movements precise and dismissive. The pen scratched against the paper with a finality that made Julia flinch. He thrust the check toward her. The amount, 5 million, was staggering. "Pretend nothing happened last night," he stated, his voice as cool and impersonal as the air in the room. "And ensure I never see your face again." Julia's pride, bruised and fragile, flared to life. "I don't want your money," she retorted, her voice trembling despite her resolve. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers shaking as she dialed Jae Kai's number repeatedly. Each call went straight to voicemail, the monotonous tone a cruel counterpoint to the frantic beating of her heart. The dam of her composure broke. Hot, silent tears began to stream down her face. This had been her first time, a moment she had imagined would be filled with tenderness and love, and it had been reduced to a drunken mistake, a transaction to be settled with a check. Thane, observing her tears with detached curiosity, absently touched a faint love bite on his own neck. A fleeting, almost imperceptible memory of Julia's unexpected passion from the night before crossed his mind. "I don't believe for a second that was your first time," he remarked, a cynical twist to his lips. "But you must have gone to considerable lengths to orchestrate this. Consider it a commendable effort." He scribbled out another check, increasing the amount, and placed it on the dresser with an air of finality before walking into the adjoining bathroom, leaving her alone with her shattered dignity. "I don't want your money," she shouted at the closed door, the words echoing in the vast, silent room. Meanwhile, in a part of the city that existed in a different universe from Thane's penthouse, Jae Kai was facing his own crises. He had been absent from his job for 10 days, a fact his employer was no longer willing to tolerate. The call was brief and brutal: return to work within the week or consider himself terminated. No sooner had he absorbed this blow than another message arrived, this one from a far less forgiving source. The text was simple and menacing. The substantial sum of money he had borrowed was due in full within 7 days, or the consequences would be severe. Back in the hotel, Julia, having composed herself as much as possible, sought out Thane. She found him just as he was preparing to leave. With a defiant gesture, she handed him back the check. "I have nothing to do with you," she declared, her chin held high, "and I have no need for your money." A sardonic eyebrow lifted on Thane's impassive face. "So, it wasn't my money you were after, you just wanted my body then?" "You're nothing but a wealthy man with a severe lack of character," Julia shot back, her anger overriding her fear. At that precise moment, the elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, revealing a man whose flamboyant style and confident aura announced his importance. This was Alex, a world-renowned jewelry designer and, as it happened, Thane's most critical business partner. Alex's sharp eyes immediately went to the visible marks on Thane's neck, then flicked with open curiosity to the disheveled and visibly upset Julia. "Is this your girlfriend, Thane? You've been holding out on me," Alex exclaimed, a teasing smile playing on his lips. Julia, utterly humiliated, opened her mouth to deny it, to explain she didn't even know this man's name, but the words died in her throat. In a move that shocked her into silence, Thane closed the distance between them, his hand snaking around her waist to pull her firmly against him. Before she could process what was happening, his lips were on hers in a kiss that was possessive and entirely for show. "Just go along with it," he murmured against her ear, his voice a low, commanding whisper. "He is an immensely influential partner. Do you really want to explain the sordid details of our one-night stand to him?" Frozen and bewildered, Julia stayed quiet, her body rigid in his grasp. Thane turned back to a delighted Alex, his arm still a steel band around Julia. "She's not only my girlfriend," he announced, his tone dripping with fabricated affection, "but my fiancée." The world seemed to spin for Julia. Fiancé? Before she could even begin to untangle this new lie, her phone rang, her mother. Seizing the opportunity to escape the surreal nightmare, she hurriedly took the call and rushed straight home, only to be met with a fresh wave of turmoil. The moment she stepped through the door, her grandmother launched into a tirade. Her father, face like thunder, silently showed her a news article on his tablet. There, splashed across the screen, was a grainy photo of Thane, the powerful CEO, and beside him, a mysterious woman, her. The headlines speculated wildly about his new romance. "You haven't even paid back the loans you owe us, and now you're cavorting with some wealthy playboy while you have a boyfriend?" her father accused, his voice thick with disappointment. "You bring shame to this family." "It's a misunderstanding, a huge mistake," Julia pleaded, but her father refused to listen. Furious and feeling cornered, she turned and stormed out of the house. As if on cue, her phone rang again. It was Jay Kai. "Julia, you have to help me," he whined, panic evident in his voice. "I borrowed $1 million, and if I don't pay it back in a week, they're going to break my legs." "So that's why those men came to the house looking for money?" Julia asked, the pieces falling into a dreadful picture. "Don't worry, we'll figure this out together," Jay Kai said, his tone suddenly shifting to one of manipulative reassurance. "Just try to get that money in a week and send it to my account, okay? You're my only hope." Julia ended the call, her mind reeling. $1 million in a week, it was an impossible sum. As she despaired, her phone chimed with a new email. It was from a major corporation, one she had interviewed with weeks ago, informing her she had been selected for an assistant position and could start immediately. It was a lifeline, a chance at a steady income, though it would never be enough to solve Jay Kai's problem in time. Unbeknownst to her, the corporation was Thane's. At that very moment, he was presiding over a tense board meeting. The company's stock was plummeting, and the catalyst was the rumor mill churning out stories about his affair with the mysterious woman. Alex, their key partner, was visibly losing interest in their collaboration. "I've had enough," Thane declared, his voice cutting through the anxious murmurs. "If I cannot stabilize this company and restore investor confidence within 1 month, I will tender my resignation as CEO." Once the room cleared, he turned to his personal manager, his expression grim. "Find that girl from the hotel, bring her to me." Days later, Julia was navigating the bustling corridors of her new workplace, her arms laden with heavy files. In her haste, she turned a corner and collided solidly with a hard, immovable chest. The files scattered across the polished floor. As she looked up to apologize, her breath caught in her throat. Standing before her, his expression a mask of cold fury and surprise, was Thane. He said nothing, his grip firm on her arms as he steered her unceremoniously into his private office, leaving a trail of whispering employees in their wake. "What are you doing at my company?" he demanded the second the door closed. "Your company?" Julia parroted, stunned. "I should be asking you that. Are you following me?" "You seem remarkably confident for a stalker," he retorted, his eyes narrowing. The reality dawned on her with sickening clarity. He wasn't just a rich stranger, he was the CEO, the man who held her professional fate in his hands. You're the CEO." "Leave," he commanded. "Not just this company, but the entire city. I want you gone." "I won't quit my job," Julia insisted, her financial desperation giving her courage. "Then you leave me no choice," Thane said, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "Either you resign of your own volition, or I will find 1,000 different ways to make your life here a living hell. I will not have my company's reputation further tarnished by your presence." Shaken and furious, Julia retreated to the women's bathroom, locking herself in a stall to release her anger and frustration in silent, heaving sobs. While she was gone, Thane's manager, having successfully tracked the mysterious woman, made a call to Thane's grandmother to report his findings. The manager, however, added his own skeptical observation. "We found her, ma'am, but she doesn't appear to be his girlfriend at all." Hearing this, the grandmother, a formidable woman in her own right, immediately ordered her car and rushed to the corporate office. As she entered Thane's domain, a sudden wave of dizziness and anxiety overcame her. She stumbled, clutching her chest. Julia, emerging from the bathroom and seeing an elderly woman in distress, instinctively rushed to her aid, helping her to a chair and fetching her a glass of water. "Thank you, dear," the grandmother said, patting Julia's hand. What is your name? My grandson will reward you handsomely for your kindness. I don't need any reward, Julia replied softly. I'm just glad you're okay, besides I'm quitting this job soon anyway. The next day, Thane was summoned to his grandmother's home. Why didn't you tell me my future daughter-in-law works at your company? She demanded without preamble. Grandmother, please stop calling her that. There is nothing between us, Thane insisted, exasperated. Nonsense. No man in our family has ever engaged in a one-night stand. I was beginning to worry you had no interest in women at all, and now this? It's a sign. You will marry this girl. It will quell the rumors, save the company's image, and finally bring some stability to your life. You've been watching too many television dramas, Thane sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. This is not a request, Thane, it is my order. You will bring this young woman to dine with me tonight. Cornered, Thane devised a new strategy. He called Julia to his office. She arrived, resignation letter in hand, ready for a fight. Because of you, my company is facing a significant crisis, he began, his tone all business. Therefore, I am offering you a proposition. We will announce our engagement. It will be a contractual arrangement lasting only 6 months. At the end of that term, I will give you $2 million in cash and you will be free to go. Julia was taken aback. I can't, I have a boyfriend. If you refuse, Thane said, his eyes turning to ice, I will systematically ruin your life. Your career, your family standing, everything will be destroyed. Terrified and seeing no other way out, Julia reluctantly agreed, but she negotiated the term down to 3 months. She signed the contract, her hand trembling. Now that you've signed, Thane said, you will come to my house tonight to meet my grandmother. This isn't some kind of trick, is it? Julia asked warily. Believe me, he replied, his gaze sweeping over her with dismissive finality, I have no personal interest in you whatsoever. Later, as Julia's departmental supervisor was planning a team dinner, Julia tried to excuse herself, citing prior commitments. The supervisor frowned. You're a new employee, Julia. This is not a good way to start, refusing to participate in team building. At that moment, Thane walked into the common area. She's having dinner with me tonight, he stated, his voice leaving no room for argument. He took her by the elbow and guided her back to his office where he presented her with an elegant, form-fitting dress. Change into this. We haven't even gone public yet and you're acting like this in front of everyone, Julia protested. The dress may seem a little small for you, he noted, a hint of a smirk on his face. But even though I was inebriated, I remember your figure quite precisely. Blushing furiously, Julia went to change. Thane then escorted her to his grandmother's estate. The elderly woman was overjoyed while Thane maintained a facade of detached politeness. Does he trouble you, my dear? The grandmother asked Julia. Does he make you work too hard? Oh no. Not at all, Julia replied, deciding to play along and subtly exact revenge. He doesn't make me work. I just spend my days carrying files up and down the stairs. I'm also in charge of fetching water and food for the entire department. The grandmother turned a stern gaze on Thane. You make my future daughter-in-law do such menial labor. From now on, you will give her a back massage every day. Grandmother, I'm your grandson. Please believe me, Thane pleaded, but it was useless. Fine, he conceded, seeing his grandmother's resolve. You should go on that world tour you've been talking about. I will take care of her until you return. His grandmother's eyes twinkled with triumph. Excellent, then Julia, you will move your things here tonight. You will live with him from now on. Both Thane and Julia stared in horror. Live with him, Julia squeaked. The grandmother sat them down on a plush sofa. You must learn to keep men under firm control, dear, she advised Julia sagely. Otherwise, they get all sorts of troublesome ideas. What are you talking about, grandmother? Thane asked, exasperated. You two are a perfect match, she continued, undeterred. So you should start planning for a baby. My grandson can be a little stubborn, so I'm relying on you to settle him down. How can you insult your own flesh and blood like this? Thane groaned. Just then, a servant announced that the car for the grandmother's imminent departure was ready. I'm leaving now, she said, getting up. She paused at the door, looking back at them sitting a respectable distance apart on the sofa. Why are you two so far apart? You're engaged. Forced to comply, they shuffled closer, clinging to each other in a parody of affection until she was out of sight, then immediately springing apart to begin arguing. The next day they discovered his grandmother had installed a facial recognition system at the entrance, requiring them to check in together every night. She then directed them to their shared bedroom, which had been transformed into a shrine of romance, filled with flower petals and the soft glow of countless candles. "Does your grandmother do this for all your girlfriends?" Julia asked, picking up a slinky, dangerously short nightdress from the bed. "This," Thane said through gritted teeth, "is because I have never ever brought a woman home before." "How is it possible that a man as handsome as you, a CEO no less, has remained single for so long?" Julia mused, more to herself than to him. "My grandmother," he replied dryly, "watches far too many nonsensical dramas." Julia held up the nightdress. "Her taste is actually quite good, though this is very short." "Don't you dare wear that," Thane warned. She teased him, a sly smile playing on her lips. "Why are you shy?" "We are both adults and we are forced to cohabitate," he stated coldly, "so I suggest you control your words and your actions." "Fine," Julia said, "but where are we supposed to sleep?" "I will sleep on the bed, you may take the floor." "I can't sleep on the floor," she protested, but he was already walking toward the ensuite bathroom. Seeing the incredibly comfortable-looking bed, Julia decided to test her luck and lay down on it. When Thane emerged, she asked, "Your grandmother has given you quite the important task. Are you planning to adopt a child from an orphanage, or will you find some other girl to fulfill this duty?" Annoyed by her chatter, he slid under the covers. "Why would I need to find another girl when I already have one right here?" "Well, I'm not that smart," Julia said self-deprecatingly. "My children definitely wouldn't be smart, so please leave me out of your plans." "Fine, I'll leave you alone," Thane said, and with a sudden movement, he pushed her off the bed and onto the floor. The following day, Thane was conducting an important video conference from his home office. In the background, Julia, fresh from a shower and unaware of the meeting, called out, "I can't find my towel." A few moments later, she wandered into the common area wearing a bathrobe, her hair damp, and began a series of stretches and exercises directly in the camera's line of sight. Thane, flustered, abruptly ended the call. "Must you act like such a roommate?" he snapped. "You are supposed to be playing the part of a dignified daughter-in-law." "How can I possibly act dignified when I have to sleep on the floor and feel like I'm eating grass while you feast? I don't have the energy for this performance," she retorted. Soon after, Thane instructed his manager to prepare for a public engagement announcement. The news spread like wildfire. Julia's best friend saw the headlines and immediately called Jay Kai, who was, at that moment, in the middle of a gambling session. "Are you still gambling?" the friend shouted into the phone. "Your girlfriend is getting married to another man. If you need money, I have a plan." The plan unfolded at the lavish engagement party Thane had orchestrated. As he slipped a simple band onto Julia's finger, she whispered, "I thought you'd at least give me a large diamond for this charade." "Why wouldn't I?" Thane replied smoothly for the benefit of the watching cameras. "I'll have it filled with diamonds after we are officially married." They exchanged rings and sealed the act with a brief, staged kiss. "You're a surprisingly good actor," Julia murmured. "Likewise," he replied. After the ceremony, Julia's friend, Xiao Tang, confronted her. "Thane is the man I'm interested in," she stated bluntly. "You need to leave him alone. Besides, you're still with Jay Kai, aren't you?" At that moment, Thane entered the room holding a tablet. "I believe I am owed an explanation for this video, Miss Xiao Tang," he said, his voice dangerously calm. A flashback revealed the truth. On the night of the company's deal with Alex, Xiao Tang, infatuated with Thane, had secretly drugged his drink. Her intention had been to spend the night with him, but she had received a last-minute, unmissable invitation to a prestigious fashion show. Unwilling to let him be with anyone else, yet unable to stay herself, she had sent her trusting and intoxicated friend, Julia, to his room instead. "How could you do this to me?" Julia asked, her heart breaking at the betrayal. "Because I wanted Thane for myself," Xiao Tang admitted shamelessly. "Everything was going according to my plan, but then I got a bigger offer. I didn't want him to be intimate with anyone else, so I sent you. I knew you wouldn't fight me for him." With the truth exposed, Thane immediately fired Xiao Tang from the company. The misunderstanding between him and Julia now cleared, the air in the room shifted. "I am sorry I misjudged you," Thane said, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. "And I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused," Julia replied. Now that everything is out in the open, I suppose we can be friends. Her eyes then landed on Jae-kai, who had just arrived. I need to go explain everything to him. Thane stopped her, his hand on her arm. Just listen to what he has to say first. They eavesdropped as Xiao Tang confronted Jae-kai. You missed your chance to make some money from this situation. Jae-kai smirked. On the contrary, I've secured a much larger opportunity. I'm going to break up with Julia, and her rich fiancé will pay me a substantial sum to disappear. I chose his offer over your petty scheme. And what if he refuses to pay you? Xiao Tang pressed. Then Julia is my backup plan, Jae-kai said callously. She'll do anything I ask, she always has. Hearing his words, a cold fury settled over Julia. She walked over to him and slapped him across the face with all her strength. You've just been using me for money all this time. I worked myself to the bone to pay off your debts. And you're enjoying the high life now because of me, Jae-kai shot back. If I cause a scene, your precious Thane won't want you anymore. As Julia began to cry, Thane stepped forward, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. Julia, let him go. He then turned to Jae-kai. You want your breakup payment? Here. He handed him a document. This lists me as the guarantor for your substantial gambling debts. I can send the original to your employer, and I can certainly have you imprisoned. Fighting a man of my resources would be unwise. Jae-kai, realizing the futility of his position, paled and slunk away without another word. Thane found Julia, who had heard the entire exchange. Let me take you to dinner, he offered. I need a drink first, she mumbled, her spirit crushed. The next day, Julia brought an array of street food into their pristine home. Thane watched her with amusement. You are easily satisfied, he remarked, before tentatively trying a piece of the fried chicken she offered. You shouldn't eat my leftover food, she said, surprised. I saw that your lips didn't touch this particular piece, he replied logically. That evening, Julia got drunk again, this time on cheap wine, and began shouting at the absent figures of Jae-kai and Xiao Tang. Why did they do this to me? It's because you are too innocent, too trusting, Thane said, his voice softer than she had ever heard it. Julia turned her angry, alcohol-glazed eyes on him. She stumbled forward, pinning him down on the sofa. I was so stupid to love Jae-kai, she slurred, her face inches from his. I'm actually glad he wasn't there that night. I would have been even more hurt if it had been him. She then collapsed on top of him, her warm, pliant body sending a jolt of pure attraction through him. He found himself reaching up, his thumb gently tracing her lower lip. In response, she took his finger into her mouth, biting down playfully. Why are you behaving like a puppy? He asked, his voice husky. Carried her to bed, having to pause to complete the mandatory facial recognition check his grandmother had instituted. Later, as he prepared for bed, Thane found himself staring at Julia's sleeping form, her face innocent and peaceful in slumber. He was undeniably drawn to her. Just then she stirred, feeling nauseous. As she sat up, her eyes fell on his pajama bottoms, which featured a whimsical elephant print. She pointed and began giggling uncontrollably. Elephant, you're an elephant. In a sudden, drunken surge, she pinned him to the bed and kissed him. Thane, his control fraying, kissed her back with a building passion. But as his hands began to wander, a shred of rationality returned. She's drunk. This isn't right. He pulled away, gently settling her back onto her side of the bed. It's not good to take advantage of her, he muttered to himself. The next morning, hungover and embarrassed, Julia apologized for her behavior. Thane, feigning nonchalance, added a new clause to their contract, no drinking until their agreement concluded. Julia signed it, promising, I'll focus on my career from now on. She then looked at him sincerely. And thank you for last night and for handling Jae-kai. You might be rude, but you have a good heart. A strange warmth flickered in Thane's chest. Get ready if you want a ride to the office, he said, quickly masking his emotion. At work the next day, Julia was met with a new, unsettling level of respect. No one dared assign her any tasks. Aren't you supposed to be on leave after your engagement? A coworker asked. It's fine, I prefer to work, Julia insisted. She went to her supervisor, who reluctantly gave her a simple, insignificant task. When a senior manager mentioned the marketing department needed temporary staff, no one volunteered except Julia. She was assigned the project, but the colleague tasked with briefing her immediately began gossiping. She's the CEO's wife, yet she still wants to work. What is she trying to prove? Probably just trying to look good for her fiancé, another sneered. What can a simple girl like her even do other than attract a rich man? A third added. Julia, overhearing from a bathroom stall, clenched her fists. I will prove myself I am talented. She threw herself into her work with ferocious determination both at the office and at home, often working late into the night. Thane observed her relentless pace, a frown of concern etching his features. She was so focused she forgot to eat or sleep. Unconsciously, he began taking care of her, ensuring meals were delivered to her desk and forcing her to take breaks. One night, she sent him a message, "I have too much work, I won't be coming home tonight." Thane waited up for her, eventually falling asleep on the sofa. In the morning, he saw her message and growled, "That's enough." After working all night, Julia went to the bathroom. In her absence, Thane's manager, who saw Julia as a threat, accessed her computer and deleted all the files for her major marketing project. When Julia's supervisor asked for the documents, she confidently went to retrieve them, only to find her laptop empty. "Don't worry, it wasn't a critical task for you," the supervisor said condescendingly. "But I prepared everything," Julia insisted, her vision suddenly swimming. The exhaustion and stress culminated in a wave of dizziness and she felt herself falling. Strong arms caught her. It was Thane. "Call a doctor," he commanded an employee. The doctor diagnosed simple exhaustion and low blood pressure, prescribing rest and medication. Thane sat by her side as she woke up. "Why am I here?" she asked, disoriented. "It is not acceptable to sleep at your desk," he chided, but his tone lacked its usual bite. "I was new and inexperienced," she explained weakly. "I was just trying to prove I could handle the work. I had prepared all the documents, I swear." "Check your laptop now," Thane instructed. When she did, all her files were miraculously restored. "You must lock your screen every time you leave your desk," he told her pointedly. You knew. "I fired the manager. She was the one who deleted your files." "Why would she do that?" "Be careful, Julia," he said, his gaze intense. "Not everyone wishes you well. You must keep your eyes open." Later, in a high-stakes meeting with Mr. Mu, the CEO of a major conglomerate, Thane noticed the older man staring at Julia with an unusual intensity. After the meeting, Mr. Mu personally saw them out. "Have you ever been to Yunnan Village, my dear?" he asked Julia out of the blue. "No, I haven't," she replied, puzzled. "Forgive me for asking," Mr. Mu said, a strange wistfulness in his voice. "I just feel a powerful connection to you, a sense of familiarity." He shook his head as if clearing a thought. "What am I thinking? How could it be possible?" As their contractual relationship continued, the lines between pretense and reality began to blur. Thane found himself growing jealous when Mr. Mu showered Julia with attention, specifically when he offered her his late wife's favorite pastries. "She is my fiancée," Thane reminded him possessively during one meeting. Later, when Julia admitted she had only pretended to like the pastries for the sake of business, Thane was secretly amazed by her shrewdness. "This girl is full of surprises," he thought. The tension between them evolved into a playful, charged banter. During a public appearance with a beautiful model, Jang Gi, Thane was discomfited by how intimately the model seemed to know his preferences, his favorite tea, his habit of placing his phone on a tissue. He found himself seeking Julia's presence, gesturing for her to come to his side. After the event, when Jang Gi asked for a photo with just him, Thane pulled a bemused Julia into the frame instead. "Have we met before?" he asked the model, unsettled. "Perhaps in a previous life," Jang Gi replied with an enigmatic smile. Back in the present, as Julia fixed his tie before another meeting with Mr. Mu, Thane looked at her, truly looked at her, and said, "I think you are perfect as my personal assistant." The praise stunned her. "You rarely compliment me." "Don't let it go to your head," he said, but as she leaned in close to straighten his collar, he found himself unable to speak, his breath catching in his throat. The world narrowed to the space between them, the contract forgot, the only thing that mattered, the undeniable and growing attraction that thrummed in the air, waiting for one of them to finally acknowledge it. The story of a rude boss and a forced roommate was slowly, inevitably, transforming into something entirely different, something real. The narrative delves deeper into the evolving dynamic between Thane and Julia, now set against a backdrop of public scrutiny and private introspection. In a moment of quiet reflection, Thane confides in Julia, expressing a sense of bewildering familiarity towards Jang Gi. "I am certain our paths have never crossed before," he muses, his tone laced with a rare pensiveness, "and yet I feel an inexplicable connection to her." He reveals a deeply personal idiosyncrasy, his aversion to discussing private matters in public spaces, and notes with suspicion, "She seemed acutely aware of this habit." Can such a thing be mere coincidence? Julia, reflecting on their own forced proximity, admits with a hint of self-deprecation, I have been by your side for what feels like every waking moment, and I never once noticed that particular habit. Seizing the opportunity to lighten the mood and probe his feelings, she teases him, a playful glint in her eyes. So, do you harbor feelings for Jang Gi then? Is that the source of this profound connection? A smirk plays on Thane's lips as he turns the question back on her. Are you, by any chance, experiencing a pang of jealousy? The public sphere, however, offers no such ambiguity. Jang Gi promptly shares the photograph of herself with Thane across her social media platforms. The digital landscape erupts with adoration from her legion of fans, their comments painting a picture of a perfect storybook couple. They are made for each other, and what a flawless pair, dominate the feed, and Jang Gi basks in the glow of this manufactured approval. This curated happiness is swiftly undermined when she discovers an older image of Thane with another woman, sparking a different, more vicious fire. Meanwhile, Julia finds herself at Mr. Mu's corporate headquarters for a scheduled business meeting. While waiting in the opulent lobby, she idly checks her own phone only to be met with a deluge of vitriol. The comments now directed squarely at her are cruel and cutting. You think a simple girl like you is worthy of a CEO like Thane, and you will never compare to the beauty and grace of Jang Gi. Leap from the screen, each word a tiny dagger to her heart. A profound sadness settles over her features just as Mr. Mu arrives. Noticing her despondent expression, the older gentleman offers a gentle, knowing smile. You must love him a great deal for such distant words to wound you so deeply, he observes softly. His comment sends a jolt of self-realization through Julia. Have I truly started to develop feelings for him? She wonders silently, the thought both terrifying and exhilarating. Mr. Mu, ever the compassionate figure, seeks to comfort her. We are friends, are we not? You can always share your burdens with me. His kind words provide a small measure of solace, and she feels her spirits lift slightly from their conversation. After she departs, Mr. Mu is left alone in his office, his gaze drifting to the digital wallpaper on his device, a portrait of a woman named Ruyu. A profound thought crosses his mind. Ruyu, did you send Julia to me? Is she your way of ensuring she remains by my side? Back at Thane's corporation, he acknowledges Julia's diligent efforts. You have been working exceptionally hard, he states in his typically brusque manner. You will receive a double bonus at the year's end as recognition. Yet, for the first time, Julia accepts this financial reward with silent resignation, offering no cheerful retort or grateful smile before quietly exiting his office. Thane is left perplexed by her reaction, nodding internally that this was the first instance where monetary gain had failed to brighten her demeanor. Julia, for her part, continues to wrestle with her emerging emotions. Have I genuinely started to develop an affection for Thane? Her introspection is interrupted by a message from Jang Gi herself requesting a meeting. When they convene, Jang Gi offers a carefully crafted apology. I am truly sorry for the hateful comments directed at you on my post. My fans can be overzealous. Julia, ever gracious, replies, I could never blame you for the actions of others. The comments are nonsensical and do not bother me. She deliberately avoids revealing the extent of her hurt. Sensing an opportunity, Jang Gi probes further. Is everything harmonious between you and Thane? He has been preoccupied with the recent sales figures, Julia deflects. We haven't had much opportunity to speak. This is the opening Jang Gi needed. That must leave you feeling worried and insecure, she simpers, feigning empathy. Please allow me to be your confidant and love advisor. She then offers a piece of deliberately malicious advice. When he seems tired, you should bring him a glass of warm milk. It is very soothing. She is, of course, fully aware of Thane's lactose intolerance. Later, having finally concluded his work for the day, Thane encounters the swarm of negative comments about Julia. A surge of protective anger rises within him, and he immediately commands his public relations and legal teams to contain the situation. At that moment, Julia enters his office, bearing a box of pastries she purchased in a bid to improve his mood. You ignored me the entire day, and now you appear bearing gifts with a smile, Thane questioned, his tone a mixture of curiosity and annoyance. I was momentarily disturbed by a trivial matter, but I am perfectly fine now, Julia insisted, forcing a brighter expression. Thane moved closer, his voice dropping to a more serious timbre. Managing negative publicity is not a significant challenge for me. You should have informed me immediately. Suddenly, a sharp cramp twisted in his stomach. He winced, his gaze snapping to the pastries. What did you put in these? Are you attempting to poison me? Horrified, Julia stammered, "I bought them from the market, they are merely milk-flavored." "I am lactose intolerant," Thane ground out, his face pale with discomfort. Overwhelmed with guilt, Julia could only repeat her apologies. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know." Annoyed and in pain, Thane tersely asked her to leave, distraught. She immediately texted Jang Gi, "I made Thane sick with the milk." On the other end, Jang Gi received the message with a triumphant smile. The following morning, Jang Gi arrived at Thane's office carrying a thermos of hot soup. "I heard you were unwell, I thought this might help," she cooed. "I am perfectly fine and require nothing," Thane stated dismissively. Just then, Julia appeared at the door holding a container of porridge she had prepared for him. Seeing the intimate scene before her, Jang Gi hovering over Thane with evident concern, her heart sank. Feeling like an intruder, she turned and left without a word. Watching her retreat, Jang Gi remarked snidely, "I sincerely doubt she made that porridge herself." "I believe she made it specifically for me," Thane countered, a defensive edge to his voice. Jang Gi seized the moment to launch a more direct attack on Julia's character. "She is undoubtedly cute, Thane, but is she truly suitable for a family of your stature and legacy?" Thane chose to ignore her comment, simply stating, "I am expected to have lunch with my fiancé." As Jang Gi prepared to leave, her eyes fell upon a distinctive pink water bottle on Thane's desk. The sight triggered a powerful memory from their school days, a young Thane defending a timid boy who was being bullied for his fondness for the color pink. In a gesture of solidarity, Thane had given the boy a pink water bottle. Jang Gi, that very same boy, now possessed an identical bottle, a tangible link to a past Thane did not yet recognize. Meanwhile, a furious and hurt Julia took out her frustrations on the porridge she had made, muttering to herself. Thane sought her out and without a word sampled the congee. "Why do you have to have lunch with your staff?" Julia asked, her voice laced with unresolved hurt, referring to Jang Gi. After eating a few spoonfuls, Thane replied, "For the record, I did not drink the soup she brought." He then looked pointedly at the porridge. "Did you prepare this for me?" "No, I did not," Julia lied, her pride wounded. "And since you ate it, you can wash the bowl." Later, a staff member witnessed the CEO himself washing the dish in the office kitchenette and expressed surprise. Thane explained calmly, "It is a principle in my family. The person who cooks is not responsible for cleaning the dishes." The next day, Jang Gi called Julia, her voice dripping with false concern. "I visited your company today hoping to see you, but you seemed busy. I ended up meeting with Thane instead." This carefully constructed lie successfully sowed doubt in Julia's mind. "She came to see me, perhaps I have been misjudging her intentions." Jang Gi then deftly steered the conversation back to Julia's relationship with Thane. Flustered, Julia admitted she felt too embarrassed to confess her growing feelings. "Okay, let's try a different approach," Jang Gi suggested, proposing Plan B. "Perhaps you could attempt to be more physically affectionate and clingy. That will certainly make him notice you more." This advice was, like the milk, a deliberate trap. In a flashback, a young Thane was heard telling his school friend, "I cannot stand clingy girls." That same friend who had a sister had replied, "My sister is exactly your type." Now, looking at a childhood photo of Thane and that friend, Jang Gi vowed silently, "Brother, if anyone is to be with Thane, it will be me." Acting on the terrible advice, Julia began to dog Thane's steps, seeking constant physical contact and attention. Thane found her new behavior intensely irritating. Perplexed by his clear annoyance, Julia wondered if a direct approach would be better. Thane, sensing a shift in her demeanor, confronted her. "Are you concealing something from me?" "I sincerely hope he cannot discern that I am developing a crush on him," she thought with internal panic. "Are you seeking another promotion, a raise in salary?" he inquired bluntly, misreading her tension. "While you are certainly straightforward," she deflected. At that precise moment, she accidentally knocked over a delicate crystal figurine on his desk, which shattered upon impact. She profusely apologized, but Thane, seeing the broken object, a cherished gift, was genuinely angry and asked her to leave. Upset, she again called Jang Gi, who counseled faux reassurance. "Do not worry, simply apologize to him later." The following day, Jang Gi sent Thane a photograph of a necklace. "Thank you for repairing this. It looks brand new," her message read, followed quickly by another. "Oh, my apologies, I sent that to you by mistake." Intrigued, Thane asked for the contact information of the craftsman, seeing an opportunity to have his own crystal item restored. Jang Gi saw this as a chance to further ingratiate herself. Simultaneously, Julia was scouring the internet for a replacement crystal. When Thane came home, she pretended to be asleep to avoid conversation. Seeing her sleeping, he did not disturb her. The next day, Julia wrestled with the need to apologize while Thane thought she has been deliberately avoiding me. She could at least grant me an opportunity to offer an apology. As he moved to speak with her, Jang Gi called, informing him the crystal was fixed and subtly hinting, "It would be lovely if you invited me to lunch as a thank you." Thane, feeling obligated, agreed. Julia then entered his office to have some documents signed. After affixing his signature, he informed her, "Jang Gi is joining me for lunch. Please ensure you order suitable dishes." Julia responded with a cold, silent nod before departing. The next encounter found both Julia and Jang Gi in Thane's home, engaged in conversation. "When did the two of you become so close?" Thane asked, observing their dynamic with curiosity. "That is our little secret," Jang Gi replied with a cryptic smile. She then gestured toward the food. "Did Julia prepare this meal?" "My assistant is already burdened with a significant workload. I have no desire to add domestic duties to her responsibilities," Thane stated. Jang Gi then presented the repaired crystal to Thane and turned to Julia with a feigned expression of shock. "You told me this was a useless trinket. Do you even understand its significance? This is a cherished family heirloom." "When did I ever say that?" Julia retorted, confused and defensive. Thane turned a sharp gaze on her. "How are you aware this is a family gift?" "You told me about it yourself. Have you forgotten?" Julia insisted, growing flustered under his scrutiny. She then continued, her voice trembling with hurt. "This is a gift from your relative. Why must I learn such personal details about you from outsiders? I am sorry for being so careless." With that, she turned and fled the room. Jang Gi immediately poured poison in the wound. "Julia is a good person, Thane, but she is terribly careless. She may not be the perfect match for a family like yours." Thane, surprisingly, came to Julia's defense. "She is not careless, she is trusting, perhaps too trusting of the wrong people." Meanwhile, Julia wept, lamenting her own foolishness for believing Jang Gi could be a true friend. Thane found her and offered a sincere apology. "I am sorry I never explained the importance of that gift to you. You also never mentioned the nature of your relationship with Jang Gi," Julia countered. "When did I ever have an affair with her?" Thane asked, a hint of a challenge in his eyes. "Are you certain you are not jealous?" "No," Julia denied quickly, then added, "Perhaps we should genuinely strive to know more about one another. It would improve our performance." In a sudden, bold move, Thane swept her up into his arms. "Yes," he agreed, a new intensity in his voice. "We absolutely need to know more about each other." Later that evening, Thane shared a piece of his past. "My grandfather had a small puppy that he adored, but it died in a tragic accident. After my grandfather passed away, my grandmother gave me this crystal puppy in its memory." As he spoke, Julia noticed a photograph in an album, the same picture Jang Gi possessed. "Who is this?" she asked, pointing to the young boy beside Thane. "That is my school friend Jang Li. He was often bullied and I did my best to protect him." He then gently prompted her, "Now it is your turn, tell me about yourself." Julia opened up about her humble origins. "I come from a very ordinary family. When I was a child, I suffered from a serious illness and the medical expenses were a tremendous financial strain. This is why my grandparents never truly approved of me. They saw me as a burden and were eager for me to marry and leave. My mother, however, always stood by me. She worked tirelessly to pay for my college education." She concluded softly, "Then you entered my life and I was forced to see the true, duplicitous nature of both my boyfriend and my best friend." As she spoke, Thane made a silent vow to himself, "I will never allow anyone to hurt you again." The following day, Julia was at Mr. Mu's company. After concluding their business, he invited her to dinner. Thane, having returned home early, noted her absence with growing irritation. "I am already home and she is still out." During their meal, Mr. Mu observed, "You bear a striking resemblance to a dear friend of mine." Emboldened by the casual atmosphere, Julia ventured, "Was she your first love?" Mr. Mu deftly avoided the question, instead offering her a cherry. "You must try this, they are exquisite." "I am allergic to cherries," Julia stated plainly. Mr. Mu was visibly shocked by this revelation. Just then, Julia's phone rang. It was Thane. "Where are you?" he demanded. "I am having dinner with Mr. Mu," she replied. "It is my birthday today," Thane declared, his voice tight with jealousy. you should be here with me. Don't be jealous, I am returning home immediately, she assured him before hastily taking her leave. Mr. Mu was left alone, his mind reeling, the same physical resemblance, the same cherry allergy. What is the connection between Julia and Ryu? Thane was fuming by the time Julia arrived home. A man and a woman having dinner alone so late at night, what is that supposed to signify? He accused. It is only 9 o'clock in the evening, Julia protested, and it is not even your birthday. He showed her his calendar confirming the date. Very well, she conceded, I will prepare something special for you. However, witnessing her clumsy attempts in the kitchen, he eventually took over the task himself. I will create my special dish for you tomorrow, she promised. The next day, Julia had laid out a prepared breakfast and selected his clothes for him. For the next 24 hours, you will receive my special service, she announced. Then you should dress me, Thane challenged, beginning to unbutton his shirt. Flustered, she stopped his hands. Do not undress in front of me. Later, as she expertly tied his tie, he inquired, where did you learn to do this so well? Are you trying to make me jealous? He noted the blush creeping up her neck. You blush quite easily. When she handed him his trousers, he was suddenly reminded of the elephant print underwear from their first morning and burst into laughter. You have not seen my elephant underwear recently, she teased. Thane felt a rare flush of embarrassment. I should really stop wearing those, he thought to himself. As they waited for the elevator at the corporate headquarters, other employees whispered about how exceptionally handsome Thane looked that day. You see, my taste is impeccable, Julia whispered proudly. However, the gossip soon shifted to rumors about Thane and Jang Gi. Leaning close, Thane murmured to Julia, to silence these whispers, we need to put on a convincing performance in public. Julia immediately began acting with exaggerated affection, draping herself over his arm and gazing at him adoringly, making the onlookers visibly uncomfortable. Thane, contrary to his usual stoicism, seemed to relish the act. Your service is not yet complete, he reminded her once they were in the privacy of his office. You may give me a massage and rub my head. If I am to do that, when will I accomplish my actual work? She protested, then added with a sly smile, I will treat you well tonight. Satisfied, Thane finally allowed her to begin her workday. The following day, Julia received a distressing call from her mother, revealing that her father was pressuring her for money. Thane, overhearing the conversation, assured Julia, do not worry, and immediately contacted his lawyer. He then accompanied Julia to her family home where her parents were in the midst of a violent argument. Her mother accused her father of squandering their money on another woman and now attempting to extort funds from their own daughter. Thane intervened, presenting irrefutable evidence of the father's infidelity, including hotel booking records. Julia's mother, empowered by the revelation, demanded a divorce while her grandmother pragmatically warned against it, fearing the loss of Thane's financial support. Thane addressed Julia's mother with respect. We will support whatever decision you make. I want the divorce, she stated firmly. When her husband refused, Thane's lawyer confirmed that with the evidence they possessed, the divorce would be granted. Thane prepared to take Julia's mother with them. Before leaving, she confronted her husband and delivered a stinging slap across his face. Once they arrived at Thane's residence, he suggested Julia and her mother share a room to talk, but her mother insisted, You two are engaged. How can you sleep in separate rooms? I will take the guest room. Thane argued, We spend the entire day together. We can manage sleeping apart. His response pleased Julia's mother immensely. Later, Julia whispered to Thane, My luggage is still on the floor. Please remove it quickly. Her mother thanked Thane profusely for his intervention. Julia watched him, her heart swelling with emotion. I cannot prevent myself from liking him more and more, she realized. She sent him a text, Thank you for everything today. She also apologized to her mother for not extricating her from the difficult home situation sooner. Her mother reassured her, You are a wonderful daughter. I will find a job and start my life anew. She then asked about their marriage plans, expressing concern that her family drama might negatively impact their relationship. Julia placated her, Do not worry. Thane is a good man, he does not concern himself with such things. We have not discussed marriage because he is incredibly busy. Internally, however, Julia felt a pang of sadness, knowing their engagement was merely a contractual facade. Unbeknownst to them, Jang Gi was meeting with the very woman who had been involved with Julia's father. It was revealed that Jang Gi had paid the woman to orchestrate the scandal, hoping to tarnish Julia's family reputation in Thane's eyes. The woman also promised Jang Gi a secret about Julia's past. In a kind gesture, Thane arranged to open a dry cleaning business for Julia's mother to provide her with independence. She initially refused, citing the difference in their social standing, but Thane eventually convinced her. She then asked Julia to help her find a small apartment. "Why rent? She can stay with us," Thane proposed. "You have already done more than enough," her mother insisted. "I will find a suitable apartment for her," Julia assured him. During this time, Jang Gi called Thane, demanding to speak with him. "If it is regarding business, speak with my supervisor," he dismissed. "What I have to say concerns Julia. If you wish to know, you will have to meet me in person," she insisted. Intrigued and concerned, Thane agreed to meet her at a location she provided, despite having plans to help Julia and her mother move. This played directly into Jang Gi's scheme. As Thane opened the car door for her, she deliberately stumbled, falling against him. A photographer, hidden nearby, captured the compromising image. Once inside, Jang Gi revealed her discovered secret. Julia's parents are not her biological parents, that is why they have never treated her well. "I am already aware of that," Thane replied calmly. Jang Gi pressed on, "And you are still willing to marry a woman with such a complicated background? What if her real parents emerge and make financial demands? If that occurs, I will respect their position and provide appropriate compensation," Thane stated without hesitation. "It is truly touching," Jang Gi sneered, "that a man of your stature is so deeply in love with someone like her. There is no further purpose to this conversation. You may leave," Thane declared, ending the discussion. "It is my birthday today, celebrate it with me," Jang Gi demanded. When Thane refused, she threatened to reveal everything to Julia. Reluctantly and wishing to avoid further drama, Thane agreed to a brief celebration. Meanwhile, Julia came across a news article featuring the staged photograph of Thane and Jang Gi at the hotel, accompanied by headlines speculating about their affair and his infidelity. Devastated, she tried calling him, but his phone was silenced. He chose to celebrate her birthday instead of focusing on his work, she thought, her heart breaking. One of Thane's employees finally managed to reach him, informing him that the photo had gone viral and the narrative of his cheating was spreading rapidly. Thane ordered his team to control the news, all the while grappling with a startling internal revelation. "Why am I so intensely worried about her reaction? I believe I am falling for Julia." Julia, inundated with a fresh wave of hateful comments, found a grim consolation. "It is for the best that he is unaware of my feelings for him. I would be utterly mortified." When Thane returned home, she pretended to be asleep. He saw through the ruse immediately. "Do my actions as featured in the sensational news bother you?" he asked directly. "What can I possibly do?" she replied with feigned indifference. "You will continue your affair and I will be expected to provide cover for you as per our agreement." Their argument escalated, with Julia finally exclaiming, "I apologize that your secret lover has been inconvenienced by this contract. I would terminate it immediately if it were within my power." Overwhelmed with emotion, she packed her luggage and left the house. Thane was left alone, pondering his next move. What is the customary course of action for a boyfriend when his girlfriend is this enraged? Is this the conclusion of our relationship? Perhaps a period of cooling off is necessary. Julia checked into a hotel where she coincidentally encountered Mr. Mu, who was there for a business meeting. Noticing her luggage, he deduced the situation. "If you would like, we could have a drink. It might improve your mood," he offered kindly. Later, as they drank, Mr. Mu offered a word of caution. "You should be careful about drinking excessively while alone with a man. Not everyone can be trusted." "You are not that sort of person. I trust you," Julia stated with conviction. "Wealthy men like you are typically interested in beautiful women like Jang Gi. What use do you have for an ordinary girl like me?" "You are far from ordinary, Julia. You possess an inner beauty that is yet to be fully recognized. You should look around more carefully. Perhaps someone is waiting for you, having seen it all along." He then politely excused himself, stating he needed to leave. The scandal continued to spread unchecked, with new rumors emerging that Thane and Julia's engagement was a mere business arrangement, and that his true affection lay with Jang Gi. Thane's staff reported that the situation was worsening because Jang Gi and her team were refusing to cooperate or issue any denials, pretending the issue did not exist. Her manager claimed she was busy with a film shoot and unconcerned. Thane demanded his team address the situation with the utmost seriousness. Meanwhile, Jang Gi's fans intensified their cyberbullying of Julia, demanding she break off the engagement. Mr. Mu found Julia and offered his assistance. "Thane has yet to take decisive action. Please allow me to help you." "No," Julia refused loyally. "Thane is managing the situation in his own way. Privately, she thought, he has not been unfaithful to me, for I do not even hold a place in his heart to be betrayed. Thane, upon learning Juya was safe and under Mr. Mu's protection, felt a wave of relief. Jang Gi finally answered his call. "Where are you hiding? I require a public clarification regarding these fabricated rumors." "What clarification is necessary?" she replied airily. "Have you noticed our online business metrics have improved significantly since this news broke? It is free publicity." "Let it be." She then ended the call and turned off her phone. Mr. Mu brought lunch to a still despondent Juya. "Has Thane contacted you?" he asked gently. "No," she whispered, her heartache evident. He attempted to comfort her, but his words faltered as his eyes fell upon the engagement ring on her finger. Thane began to analyze the situation with cold detachment. The photographs with Jang Gi lacked any genuine intimacy, and the news narratives felt artificially constructed. He noted that a specific segment of Jang Gi's fans was disproportionately active in attacking Juya. "I am overlooking a crucial piece of this puzzle," he realized. "How does she possess such intimate knowledge of my minor habits? This marks the second time rumors of this nature have surfaced." A chilling realization dawned on him. Jang Gi's ultimate target was not Juya but him. He ordered his staff to conduct a deep and immediate investigation into Jang Gi's background. When his staff showed him a video of the vicious online attacks against Juya, his anger boiled over. His staff assured him that Juya was safe and that Mr. Mu had arranged for security detail for her protection. "Identify every individual who participated in attacking my wife and take legal action," Thane commanded, his voice dangerously calm. "How dare they cause her harm?" Meanwhile, during a photo shoot, Jang Gi began to fake violent retching, ensuring a photographer captured the moment. Her intention was to spark pregnancy rumors, and the media eagerly complied. Concurrently, Mr. Mu, driven by a growing suspicion, began his own investigation into Juya's origins. He visited her family home and spoke with her grandmother, who revealed a long-held secret. "She was not our biological child. We found her on the roadside when she was about 5 years old, sick and utterly helpless." This revelation shocked Mr. Mu, unlocking a flood of memories about Ruyu, who had died in a car accident years prior. "Ruyu," he thought with dawning awe, "have I found your sister?" Juya, seeing the news reports speculating about Jang Gi's pregnancy, accepted them as truth. Heartbroken, she repeatedly tried to call Thane, but he had turned off his phone to avoid the relentless media. Thane, upon seeing the pregnancy headlines, ordered his team to trace the source of the article and identify the journalist responsible. Mr. Mu visited Juya at her hotel. She, in a state of emotional distress and slightly inebriated, mistook him for Thane in the dim light. "I was such a fool to fall in love with you," she confessed tearfully. "I should have never forgotten our relationship was only a contract. I do not understand why I could not prevent my heart from betraying me." Mr. Mu felt a surge of triumphant joy upon hearing this confession. "I should have realized sooner that your engagement was a sham, orchestrated only to quell the rumors." He looked upward as if speaking to a spirit. "Ruyu, did you send Juya to me so our love might live on through her?" Simultaneously, Thane confronted the journalist who had published the damning photographs. The reporter, intimidated, confessed everything. "I received an anonymous tip to be at that hotel parking lot. I saw you with her and captured the image. The vomiting photo was staged. She paid me to write and publish the article." He also admitted that Jang Gi was behind the coordinated attacks on Juya. Thane was now consumed with a single question: what is her ultimate objective? What does she want from me? At that moment, he received a message from his investigator. The attached photograph left him utterly stunned. It was an image of Jang Gi and his childhood friend Jang Li. The two were one and the same. Mr. Mu, sitting with Juya, asked once more if Thane had been in contact. "No," Juya replied despondently. "He must be occupied with Jang Gi." Mr. Mu then received a message stating, "I am waiting for you downstairs." He proceeded to discreetly collect a sample of Juya's DNA using a stray hair from her brush to confirm his theory that she was the sister of his lost love, Ruyu. Jang Gi's manager expressed the company's growing concern about the pregnancy rumors, warning they were damaging to her career. She arrogantly dismissed them. "Make them wait. No one can force me to do anything." Thane summoned Jang Gi to a final meeting. She arrived, maintaining her innocence. "I have done nothing wrong to Juya." In response, Thane played the reporter's full confession. "Explain yourself," he demanded coldly. Confronted with the evidence, Jang Gi admitted to everything. "I did it all because I am in love with you." I do not love you, Thane stated unequivocally. I love Julia and that will not change. What is she that I am not? Jang Gi cried out in desperation. If I had entered your life before her, would you not have loved me instead? It was then that Thane revealed the investigative photograph. Jang Gi, or should I say Jang Li. The truth poured out. Jang Gi confessed that she was, in fact, his former school friend. I believed your protectiveness and kindness meant you felt the same way I did. When I realized you only saw me as a friend, I thought I could change your perception. So I went abroad and I changed my gender to become the woman I believed you could love. You should never have done that, Thane said, his voice filled with a profound sadness. We could have remained lifelong friends. I knew you cared for me, otherwise why would you have been so kind, she pleaded. I treated you as a dear friend, a sentiment you refused to accept, Thane clarified gently but firmly. Julia would do anything for me just as you claim you would. The difference is my heart chooses her. If she were to disappear, my feelings would not transfer to you. I cherish the memories of our friendship, Jang Li, but I am in love with Julia. If you wish to preserve those memories, you will cease all of this at once. Finally comprehending the futility of her actions, Jang Gi accepted that Thane's feelings would never align with her desires. She agreed to relinquish her pursuit. She subsequently issued an official public statement admitting, "The news regarding myself and CEO Thane is entirely fabricated. I orchestrated these events in a misguided attempt to become closer to him." Witnessing the retraction, Thane felt a massive weight lift from his shoulders. He immediately set out for Julia's hotel, still dressed in casual clothes. His manager warned him that reporters would swarm him, but he was undeterred. A scene unfolded of a desperate Thane waiting outside Julia's hotel, trying to get her attention. When she continued to ignore him, he boldly removed his face mask, revealing his identity to the gathering crowd. He dropped to one knee and proposed to her properly. Julia, her heart overflowing, replied with a tearful smile, "We should draft a new contract, one for a lifetime." As they kissed, the reporters descended. Laughing, Thane and Julia grabbed hands and fled back to the safety and privacy of their home. There he pinned her playfully onto the bed, their faces inches apart. As he leaned in, Julia closed her eyes in anticipation, but he only teased her, brushing his lips lightly against hers before pulling away. He then produced a magnificent diamond ring and proposed marriage in earnest. "During our engagement, you stated I could never become your actual wife," Julia reminded him, her voice trembling with emotion. "That contract is now null and void," Thane declared, his eyes filled with love and certainty. He slid the ring onto her finger, and this time their kiss was deep, passionate, and sealed their future together. In the aftermath, Thane met with Mr. Mu. Thane presented him with a photograph of twin infant girls. These are the twin daughters of the Yunjin family. Ruyu died in a car accident several years ago. The other twin, Rujun, was adopted by the Mi family 2 decades ago and is known to us as Julia. He fixed Mr. Mu with a steady gaze. "You were already aware of this, were you not?" "Why are you concealing this from Julia?" Mr. Mu challenged. "Do you genuinely love her, or is there another hidden agenda behind your actions?" He concluded with a solemn declaration. "Your contractual relationship has concluded. I will be waiting for her, ready to welcome her into her birth family." This final confrontation laid bare the remaining secrets, setting the stage for the ultimate resolution of their intertwined fates, where love, lineage, and long-buried truths would finally be reconciled.